Foxes are some of our most amazing neighbors. To learn more about them, we decided to visit the New England Wildlife Center, the Cape Cod branch located in Barnstable, to learn the facts. Seen foxes lately? Well, it is the season.
This time of year, foxes are beginning to den. It's important to know foxes will often return to the same dens year after year. And what that means is they're looking for shelter so they can get together in a family unit and have a litter.
That brings us to your backyard. These wild, furry neighbors are not dangerous, but keep your distance.
If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. There is always a potential that they could have rabies, and that would make them act abnormally. So you should never approach a fox. But if you are concerned that it is neurologic, meaning it can walk weirdly or have a head tilt or circle, you should definitely call your local animal control or wildlife hospital.
The encroachment to your land is driven by survival instincts. Foxes mostly try to avoid a human encounter. However, sometimes they can den in your yard.
So if you have exposed decking or a shed that's lifted a little bit off the ground or a wood pile in your backyard, those are the types of spots that foxes are looking for. So if you're not interested in having foxes near your yard, or you have pets or small kids, it's probably in your best interest this time of year to start to repair those things, close them up, and make sure they are fox-proof.
Why so much fuss about a fox?
Foxes are incredible animals. They're not only interesting to look at, but they're providing a lot of services that make our everyday lives better. Think about rat and rodent problems. They are a natural control on that. They keep our ecosystem balanced, and they keep Cape Cod and Massachusetts healthy. They're nothing to be afraid of. If you're lucky enough to see one at a safe distance, they can be incredibly interesting to look at. The things you want to be careful for is you want to make sure that you're protected, your pets are protected, and the foxes are protected by cutting down on contact, not feeding outside, and making sure that your structures that you've built in your home are fox-proof.
It is okay to sympathize with foxes, especially when you notice that they are in distress or could be sick. Just do not take matters into your own hand. Reach out to your local wildlife center for help.
We get a lot of phone calls this time of year about people who are seeing foxes with mange. A mange is a skin disease that animals can get. It's caused by a mite that burrows into the skin, and it causes them to be very, very itchy, and that causes them to self-traumatize and then open wounds up in their skin. And that poses them to getting secondary bacterial infections, and it further debilitates them so they can't hunt appropriately, and they get skinny and then just get weaker and weaker. So people see foxes out there that are losing their fur, very skinny, and they call us all the time for help. And mange is a treatable illness. It just requires a lot of medications, so we never advise to try to treat them in the wild. It's actually illegal to put food out in the wild for them. So if they are debilitated enough and can be caught by hand or a net, call your local animal control if you see them in your yard, and they can come out and assist you. And once we have them in care, it's a long process and it requires several different types of medications. But if we get it in time, we can definitely treat it.
In addition, if you happen to notice a den under your deck, no matter how cute these babies can be, please do not step in to nurture them.
A fun fact that both mom and dad provide food for the young. So as long as the fox are just past weaning, if you suspect potentially something has happened to mom, dad is still around providing for the babies. But if you've noticed that they're starting to become a little bit more vocal, if both parents haven't returned in a couple of days, then the pups might start wandering a little bit from the den. So at that point, that's when you call your local wildlife hospital or animal control. Never attempt to interact with them yourself. They can become habituated, and that's when they get really used to being around humans, and that's something we do not want to do. Anytime we have kits or pups in our hospital, we try to limit our contact with them just so that they do not see humans as a food source or providing a food source, so that they constantly come up to them. Because if a fox comes up to a person in the wild, they're going to think it has rabies, so that's a bad sign.
One thing to keep in mind is that though foxes are not threatening, please use precaution, call your local wildlife center, and do not play a hero. Reporting from Barnstable, I am Queen Banda of WCTV.